Bob Dumbuya.
Thank you very much. I am on board, and it's a blessing to be here once more again. And thank you for the compliments. As I always say, my words are not mine. My words are owned by the Creator, because we're all spiritual beings. And also, before I share a few of my stories, I would like to say thank you very much and congratulations to all the speakers. As I was sitting here listening to the meaningful, purposeful, emotional, and inspirational and engaging stories, my heart burst into emotion with love to keep doing what I am doing. And I think, because I thought there were a few people out there not knowing that the more you expand yourself, which is what yoga is about, expansion, the more you create opportunity for yourself to meet another person. So, Sam, thank you very much to you and Dr. Clives. Um, you know, the Bible says that, before I talk about the Bible, I'm not an expert when it comes to the Bible. However, I started pursuing the Bible about 5 years ago. I had a dream. I dreamt Christ two times. This is the first time I'm saying it publicly, because I do want to share it much, until, because I'm working on current several books. So to begin with, I always say to people, whenever they ask me where I am from, I always say, before I would say I'm from Sierra Leone, but when your mind is blind and spiritually you are lost, you don't know your place in society. So you just conform. This is what I learned when I was studying sociology, conformity. So I used to say my nationality is what I am. And the Bible taught us a lesson. The what I am, that is what you have to place yourself. So what I'm trying to say is that I am from God, and I believe we're all from God. We're from the one source. And the speakers, they've talked about spirituality, divinity, and I was taking notes earlier, but I don't want to pronounce the name. But I don't want to pronounce the name. But let me see. Actually, let me just make a reference to all the speakers out there. You were talking about divinity. You're talking about spirituality, talking about practicality. Dr. Clive Rivers talked about it. I had my own topic I was going to talk about. The topic entitled "The Cause and Effects of Human Calamity." I purposely decided to come up with that topic today for the book title, and it's part of my book I'm writing to help people to unlock their potential. However, I felt that this is not about me. Christ, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, leaders like Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, leaders like Jim Rohn, they I can call many, and all of you guys here, you're all leaders, because to be a leader is not about title. It's about using your power, your potence, to empower people. So long story short, I'll give you guys a few backgrounds, especially for young people who might be watching. I have not exposed myself too much to the world yet. As I said, my original source is from God, and I realized that about 5 years ago. And I was made in Sierra Leone, partially developed in Sierra Leone, then fully developed in the UK, where I was able to discover myself. So I experienced a civil war in Sierra Leone. If you have heard about the movie called Blood Diamond, and I could have been dead over 20 years ago as a young boy. Prior to the civil war in Sierra Leone, and Sierra Leone had about 10 years, war and civil war. And I was born in a house where things were not difficult. My dad was a seaman, a traveler around the world. He didn't gain the opportunity as I have gained to gain education through the educational system. However, again, as a man of wisdom, again, education through traveling, through the job it was doing, I would say informal education, because my priority in life is education. Education is knowledge, and knowledge comes with wisdom. The Bible says, Proverbs 4 talks about the fact that as a children of God, by any means possible, we must seek wisdom. And the beginning of wisdom is understanding. And I have learned that one of the reasons why we perish in society, whether young, whether grown folks, because I try not to call people old because old products don't last. For I believe that we're all not old. It doesn't really matter your age, because if you go back in history, prior to our own generation, in terms of if you go back 20 years ago during Christ's time, if you live for about 30 years, people consider you as old. So anyway, long story short, at the age of 13, I believe, things were difficult for my dad. So my dad, as I'm speaking now, the Sierra Leone government, they still have not paid the benefit. My dad worked for over 20 years. So things were difficult. So I couldn't continue my education. I stopped doing my primary school. So 2 years down the line, my friends were laughing at me. And I used to create things like using mechanical stuff. So I was taking things from the trash can, creating things. So and still those people, I'm saying this with emotion. As a young boy, 13 years old, I remember when my dad was a seaman, we had library at home, books. This is a man who did not go through education, the educational system, but he's a man of wisdom. He taught me a lesson. He bought a land and he said it will do whatever it takes to educate us, that including my siblings. As a young boy, he said it will not be the house. I didn't even know that until after I've left home for 20 years, having experienced civil war. I escaped the civil war in Sierra Leone, having been in the UK. I had to look after myself. I have not drank, have not smoked, have been tempted with bad friends in the UK to go into drugs, business with hundreds of thousands, and I refused. But I remember the wisdom my dad instilled in me about education. So when I was 13, so friends were laughing at me, and I said to my dad and to my mom, she's an entrepreneur, very beautiful mom. I grew up with him. He taught me how to, I grew up with my mom. He taught me how to cook. I said, Mom, let's go to Uncle. I want to go to school. I need to pursue my education. So we went to my uncle. It was the former Attorney General for Sierra Leone because he was a politician. So long story short, I cried. My mom cried, and I said, "No, you don't need to cry. I'll pay as long as it's ready." And a couple years, I wasn't going to school. The year I started, it's like I was fresh. Every year I was winning prizes. I almost got scholarship. And fast forward, so then was able to pursue from junior secondary school to senior secondary school. Then before I left during the Civil War, a house got burnt down during the Civil War. I had no clothes. I'll show you guys, as I'm speaking this, I'll show you guys, for young people especially who are watching, I did an artistic work. I might as well just do it. Sometimes I like to be impromptu. So this is a bit of the story of my life, a brief story. This artistic work, I did it on Father's Day 2017, right? I sat there, I wanted to write to say Happy Father's Day. I was in the UK. And at that time, my dad has passed away 2 years, that was 2015. So 2017, I wanted to wish my dad Happy Father's Day because I enjoy writing, because I use my artistic, my thoughts, my writing aspiration to express my thoughts. So I said, okay, let me write something. I went on Facebook and I got the spirit from God. I said, just express yourself in artistic way. So I did that. So as you can see this. So in a nutshell, what I'm saying is that in life, you see, these are the love. Rest in peace, this is my dad. And I've lost about four siblings. We were 8, 4 passed away. Same mom, same dad. So I've lost my dad, I've lost my siblings, I've lost loved ones, family members, friends. So I was sitting there and I said, I need to express myself. And I've been homeless twice in the UK. And also during the Civil War, a house got burnt down. I escaped with nothing, everything, treasure, everything lost. So what I was trying to say that in life, life comes with fire, storm, ups and downs, twists and turns. We can lose material things. There's a tendency to get it back as long as you're in existence. But if you lose your loved ones and if you fail to love them, you will never get the opportunity to love them again. This is why my purpose in life is not how much money I have made until I cannot breathe anymore, but how much lives I've impacted until I cannot breathe anymore. That's the journey I have taken. So as a result of that, I lost my dad, I've lost siblings, I can never get them again. I remember 3 days before my dad was passed away, I wanted to visit my dad. 14 years having left Sierra Leone, I wanted to visit my dad. The Ebola dropped from nowhere, so I couldn't travel for a year. So I had invested in 40-foot container. As I'm speaking, I'm just going to cut it really short. All that in bed. So I wanted to visit, and then my dad said, when are you going to come? Because I was looking forward to hug my dad. I was looking forward to share my certificate. I had just graduated from my university when I had my first degree. I was looking forward to share that experience with her and with my dad. And I said, Dad, I would have loved to come, but because of the Ebola and the situation is too much, and I'd rather wait, because if I'm alive, I'll be able to do what I can do for you. I said, so it's too risky. And long story short, 3 days before my dad passed away, I was about to travel to Ireland to my brother for 3 days to attend my brother's daughter baptism ceremony. So I remember the last day. It was 3 days before my dad passed away. I didn't know that was the last day, but just because God was with me and I was with God. So I spoke to my dad. I called my dad. I said, Dad, I've got 3 months. I'm coming. And the Ebola is about to finish. From 2014 was 2015. And this was on the 17th of June, not knowing that was the last day. Fast forward. And my dad was crying, said, I don't know if I'm going to see you. He was crying the pain because he was sick. I said, no, Dad, you will see me. And then I said, first of all, I said, I would like you to reflect about the fact that you have not gained the educational qualification as opposed to people that I know. You have traveled around the world, except 2 countries in Africa. You have lived life. You've lived in the UK. I said you invested. My dad used to drink. 20 years before he passed away, he stopped drinking. He used to take me to the caves. He used to take me to the mountain to pray with the prophet. So I don't want to share too much because of the time. So all of this, I've got them in my book. So I didn't know my dad was setting me for today, because every day is an opportunity. Just like the other speakers we're talking about now. Dr. Clyde Rivers talked about now. We cannot go back and change the past. Neither can we focus on the future, because the future is an illusion. Today is the best time to make the change, because if it cannot change today, you can never have. There will be a day you have not tomorrow. We cannot go back to the past, but we can also go to the past and learn from that and take some of those mistakes, like Sabrina and all the other speakers, they're all talking about the experiences. We can learn from it and use some of those experiences as a tool, as a tool, as a source of information, so we can help young people, not only young people, but parents, for them to gain transformation in life. Because in life, without situation, you have no opportunity to create situation for opportunity to occur. Because if you don't have that situation, you will not have the opportunity to unlock your potential from that mistakes. That's where I've learned. The reason why I pursued Christianity, the book, the Bible, it wasn't because I came from a Muslim family, not because of people taught me and pushed me to do it. No. And even that, even up to now, I have not baptized because people were forcing me. Not knowing that the dream that I had twice, I dreamed Christ. God wanted me to pursue the Bible. And what I'm saying for people who are watching out there, the Bible, this is my own experience. As I always say, my words are not mine, are coming from me, from the creative source. Don't read the Bible as a religious book. You block, this is what I would say, you will restrict yourself. Read it with an open mind as a spiritual book, because all the books that we have, for example, if you think about, if you combine because we're talking about suicide, but I want people to connect the dots, because what I'm trying to say, I wish I would have got time, but I don't have enough time. Think about, because I wanted to call the lady, I wanted to call her name, but the name, it ends with N-A. Could you please pronounce your name, because I want to reference you, please?
Chanel? Is it
Yes,
Chanel?
Chanel. Oh, Chanel. Okay. Chanel, because you touched a valuable point that touched my soul. You talk about science, divinity. People don't understand. What I've learned, I've shared a story with Sam. The thoughts I had, the book that I'm writing, I've written already. I'm writing content. I believe it's going to, even if I'm no longer on earth, I believe, just like the Bible, when Christ, Matthew 10, Christ chose 12 disciples. It didn't pursue crowd. And the reason why we're pursuing Sam, it's not because of materialistic things, because if I can reference Sam, right? Proverbs 18, verse 16 says, talks about the gifts. A man's gift make rooms for himself and brings him before great men. And the word men doesn't really matter whether you're because men represent female figure.
Yes.
I mean, I see the word as an open mind, as a design thinking mindset, because we're thinking an open mind because you use empathy. So what I'm trying to say is that, right? Jesus Christ, his mission is Genesis 1, verse 26. God created us in his own image. He empowered us with the power for us to take dominion over our lives. From 26 to 31, because I've studied innovation, entrepreneurship, based on my own knowledge. When I thought about it, I've built relationship with myself and God. God taught me that section there, Genesis 1, verse 26, is about leadership, it's about entrepreneurship. Because leadership, you can be directed, you can be empowered with a mindset to unlock your potential. But it's an attitude that must come from within. And that attitude, our thoughts are not mine. The creation we see on the outside are invention within. Every physical creation is outside, they're artificial, they're all byproducts of God. And as a human being, we are byproducts of God. And if you don't understand that, think about products. This iPhone that I've got here, think about, a lot of people might think Steve Jobs is the only person behind it. But the main brain behind Apple, his name is Steve Wozniak. Both of them and Steve Jobs. This is the idea. The iPhone is a byproduct of the Apple team. So as a human being, our thoughts, the things that we think, the reason why people are thinking to commit suicide, I've been through that. I've got so many situations. As I said, 2018, I broke my hand. I was stressed, depressed. I'll show you guys this medication. I brought it here for a purpose. I went to bed. I had depression when I was doing my master's. And I had I went through discrimination. I was a chair. I was doing so much. I was sacrificing. So just because I went through discrimination and sexism, people love me. But because I showed that lion attitude to say, this is what I'm standing for, I'm against it, not for myself, but for people who are coming. I said, that's why I was going to put stop to it. So I had a group of people who were trying to make me not to accomplish my master's degree. So it took me 2 years because I broke my hand. I had that depression. I went to bed. After all of this, that my body went dead. God woke me up within 2 hours. I didn't know that subconsciously my stress had affected my heart. If you think about the psychological system, the human nervous system comprises of the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system, because the brain and the spinal cord are the main components that tend to sense from the outside and send signal to the peripheral nervous system, which is like a cable, the nerves, billions of neurons. And if our brain accommodate negativity on the outside, it would send signal through our peripheral nervous system. This is why a lot of people tend to commit suicide. A lot of people tend to take drugs. A lot of people will do things in a relationship that don't have empathy, because God is not emotional. God is not emotional. God is love. In the space of love and in the space of God, that realm of God, there is no negativity. So hence the reason why I would never subdue myself to any negative force. Our thoughts is a byproduct of imagination. If you're not used to imagine, start to imagine. Imagine how your life will be. All the creation starts from imagination. When God created us, God is spirit, and so is man. When we go to bed, we sleep. We're in a spiritual world. So as we were talking about the fact, the other speakers are talking about the fact that I always say to people, if you're not at peace, the word rest in peace. Chanel, the word rest in peace. Sometimes when people use it, I always say, oh God, I pray that the people who are alive find peace before the time. Because I always say, if you're not at peace when you're alive, I wonder if your soul will be at peace when you cannot breathe it anymore. We've never visited there. This is all what I was saying. That's why this thing, as I said, I can never, all these people I've lost, I can never. And that's the reason why when I connect with people, people know me. This is not about bragging. I don't care. I'll put myself down. I don't care. I own nothing in this world. And I've lost all of those things. I've got things back. I've lost my brother and I lost over thousands of pounds in Sierra Leone doing business. I started all over again. But you know what kept me? I know people who are going through mental health issues, even committing suicide. But you know why? I will not blame them before I used to judge. Matthew 7, God says that. The Bible says we must not judge others, otherwise God will judge us. Because we need to allow people to be themselves. We have to be the bridge between problem and the success. And that's one of the goals that I'm striving for. I'm using my experiences to help people to succeed. I want to be the bridge to come and create opportunity. There are times you create opportunity, tell people, this is the situation. Apply it, open the door. We need to have an open mind. Dr. Wayne once said, have an open mind. Attach yourself to nothing. The reason why we tend to have these emotions, because if you attach yourself like a glue on relationship, on job, on material things, on this world, when those things let you down, you will feel disappointed. This is why we must love. I don't see race. I see because my journey, pursuing the Bible, I read the Bible. Even I can go to Buddhism, because even the psychology, if you go back when I was studying psychology, Buddhism bridges took that concept. Meditation, I do it now. Like today as I was sleeping, I do that. Spiritually, for me, my solution, I would say, I'm not imposing. This is what I mean, because my words are not mine. The solution, that's why I created that for you, Sam. I've written some content for you. I will share that, because it's about the cause and effects of human calamity, the word calamity. And because if you think about, because the cause, let's see the cause and its effects. So because we lack spiritual wealth within our soul, that spiritual wealth, that means we lack the connection between ourselves and God. I am that I am. God created us in his own image. We've been given with the natural resources. We do not need to seek peace outside us, but within us, until we take action to build relationship with ourselves. So perhaps we'll have the opportunity to connect with the divinity and gain that spiritual wealth. All the thoughts that we continue to have on the outside will be just reaction. If you go back during the 50s, when stress was defined, it was seen as a physical response. But now my goal is to actually to suggest to academics, because I'm still pursuing education. I will never stop to learn. Our qualification is not a qualification for us to be educated, but it's an experience for us to use it as a reference point to justify that this is the course that we've done. So these are the skills that we've gained. I have been deprived from actually getting a job. When I didn't have qualifications, I went for a job and they said, "You overqualified."
Wow.
I said, "I'll do whatever." I'm helping people. Right now, so I'm speaking to people, because education is not only about the qualification, but the knowledge. As I said, Proverbs 4, by any means possible, we must seek wisdom. And the beginning of wisdom is understanding. And also, under that section, Proverbs says that we must not eat the bread of the wicked, not drink the wine of violence. This is why I always say to people, and I've got religious friends. Before I was hoping that they meant to me, but they've actually, when things go wrong with me, this was a car accident, I should have been dead. I broke my hand. This was the medication I was taking. They thought I got stroke. I've got many stories that I want to share to the world. But and then my friend said, it's a pastor that I was looking forward to. He said, "Buck, there's demons. We are chasing you, talented." I said, "What?" I said, "I would not submit my soul to any demons. It's not demons." I said, "If you look at all the successful entrepreneurs, if you don't have problems, you are not respected for problems you run away from. You are respected." Late Dr. Miles Monroe said it. You are respected from the problem that you solve. If you don't have problems to say, I don't care whether you have billions of pounds. When you die, you will not go with that. My question is, as Martin Luther King would say, what blueprints would you like to put? Would you leave? We are unique human beings. Our fingerprints are not the same, but we're all from one source. It doesn't really matter your color. But when you think about the creation of God, everything, we are all byproducts. This glass didn't make itself. So what I'm trying to say is that in terms of helping people to commit suicide, men, we need more men. We need more men. We need more women. Right? Wow. And also, one of my goals is to ensure that I'm empowered. Use my knowledge to empower young women. I'm actually doing that behind the scenes. Sometimes even my last money, I'll give them. As I'm saying, even yesterday, the last money that I had, I sent it for my nephew. His dad, parenting is very, very important. His dad left him, abused my sister. I'm not ashamed to say. And I promise within the next 2 years, I'm going to build a house. You see, this African mentality, I'm saying, when I said African mentality, is the region. Culture has to be changed. Doesn't really matter where you are. Culture is attitude. Attitude comprises of those thoughts. Your environment, if you look at behaviorism approach, we're more likely, behaviorism approach believe that the reason why we tend to behave the way we are, our behavior must have been learned by the environments that we live. So my nephew was pushed to take drugs. I'm looking, recently wanted to commit suicide last year. I said, I'll be there for you. For the sake of my sister. My sister had 6 kids with her husband. Her husband was the military. Was a soldier. He dumped my sister after they built a house, even part of our money. Now, I am the youngest one. I am actually looking after my sister. So another thing that we must connect with is stay alive. Abuse. Abusive relationship.
Wow.
We must learn to establish relationship with ourselves. We must not seek love outside us. If you have that thought that I am going to establish relationship with you to seek love and happiness, It's like you've given the keys for another man to break your heart. Your peace is within God, and God is within you. Until you discover God, you will not see the light of God.
Wow.
So this is my story. As I said, the world, I would have to have not shared much about that because I've been sharing my struggle on social media. And not people, there are so many. There another story I was going to share, but I don't have time for that. I would have loved to share. A lady who wanted to commit suicide 2012. Let me just briefly, we connected on social media. Another tool we must use, social media. She wanted to commit suicide. I didn't know this lady. We connected just because I shared my personality. My elder brother disliked the fact with passion for me to be on social media. You know why? Because I was trained, I lost my childhood experience. I thank my parents, my elder brother, they look after me. I thank them, but they deprived my childhood experience. This book, How to Get What You Want, I read this 10 years ago by John Gray. It made me to discover the child in me. I used to do creative stuff. I used to look at people. I used to sketch. I used to drive. I was shy. This book. And this book, The New Rules of Entrepreneur. Having been deprived 5 years not to pursue my education in the UK for no reason. I was meant to go through the medical system. 5 years, when I read this book, it said, you need to reflect. Don't chase money, chase your passion.
Wow. Don't chase money.
Chase your passion. Chase your passion.
You know,
Yeah.
this is one of the major things I love about what you just said just now. You said your passion. Passion driven should be one of the major tools that young people all across the world should work with. You know, you said something just now. You said you were able to use the power of social media to save life of a young lady. Now, this is one of the major tools that we all need to use in this post-pandemic world to help save life. And that is why we are here today, to put in our thoughts, to share postventions, to share solutions on how young people across the world can make staying alive purposefully a lifestyle and not just a movement, because every movement stops. Thank you, Buck Dubuya.
I'm going to round up, yeah, but just before you talk about I'm going to share really thoughts about, passion, right? The word passion has been widely misconstrued in society. I just it's in my book, right? Because if you go back 12th century, that word passion is associated with Christ. The word passion, the original meaning, is good to check history. It means anger. That's why you have to be very thoughtful of your words. The word passion, it comes with anger, attitude, frustration. Resonate, that means for that when you're passionate, are you willing to die for something, striving to achieve it? So that's where that word, because the etymology of that word, because words changes. So the original, that means your passion. So when you feel pain, the reason why we're all here today, because it touched us, we all experience all the wonderful stories because we feel pain. As a result of that, so we find a purpose in life. Proverbs, let me just say Proverbs 29, verse 18 says that people who lack vision, revelation will perish. And that's it, your purpose in life. If you don't have your purpose in life, you miss the opportunity to discover who you are and make a difference in life. So to round it up, SWOT analysis, right? I gained this knowledge from my business studies, right? This represents threats, and these weaknesses, opportunity, threats. Talking about social media, there are threats that we need to focus on. These threats, they are abuse. Many people, young people, they've been led to online cyber torturing, so to speak, and also the young people, they've committed suicide. So we need to work with governments. We need to use the approach I normally say, like design thinking, Design thinking is a practical solution where we use design thinking tools, methods, approach. We use an open mind. We work with different multidisciplinary teams. This was introduced during the 70s to deal with social problems, usually known as wicked problems, problems that cannot be easily fixed. So you work with multidisciplinary people. We need psychologists. We need different people. Because to save life, we cannot just use one size fits all. It's beyond than that. But that's why I said, for me, I focus on it. If we can gain spiritual wealth, then we can become wealthy on the outside. If you cannot love yourself within, if you cannot find your purpose in life, your lifestyle will be no different to that of a sheep or chicken, because you will just wait for the time to die. So long story short, so once we can assess as a young people or parents, don't force your kids or don't force your partner to be what you want them to be, because God created you to be yourself. Genesis 1:6 said, take dominion over your life. Help people. If you cannot help people, to empower them, do not demotivate them. So when assess what weakness this person have, and that's what we use as a design thing, we use empathy. It's like placing yourself, not just like, I'm going to put myself in the shoes, but with compassion, emotion, listen to them, feel their pains. Don't judge, with an open mind and attached to nothing. Perhaps you discovered meaningful insights to deal with the threats. Opportunity comes from understanding your weaknesses, which you must turn to strength. Threats, you cannot prevent it. You cannot prevent it. These are things that are outside your factors. From a business perspective, these are external factors. For example, the coronavirus pandemic, disappointment, relationship, financial issues, health issues on the outside. But if you use meditation, if you use spirituality, you can heal yourself. There's something called the placebo effect. If we can have that in terms of connecting with God, you do not judge people. All the religions on earth, they all talk about peace, love. So my religion is love, peace, and happiness.
Wow, thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Bob Dubuya from UK. You are so amazing. Honestly.
I'll share the poem I wrote. So I'll share the poem with you later, yeah? I'll forward you.
You know what? I'll be glad to have you put all these thoughts together for Stay Alive Volume 3. I'm so honored to bring to the stage the last but not the least. She's the number one, and she has this number one mindset. I love her so much. She's Maria Mogwell. Maria Mogwell is a visual artist, graduated in graphics design, and a two-time best-selling author of the book Bring the Magic into Your Life in Spanish and English. She is a life coach and a lifestyle entrepreneur. The choice of vibrant colors in her painting comes from the influence of her Mexican culture. Wow. The emotions that the colors awaken in her are the same vibrations that they generate when entering the eyes of the spectators. They have the same effects in their hearts. Maria has exhibited her art in Mexico and Canada on several occasions and has created the Visualize Your Destiny through art method. With the method, you achieve the manifestation of goals and wishes using the power of visualization, color, psychology, and directed meditation, through which the client captures clearly and in detail the image of his overt desire. Join me as I welcome, before I bring her on stage, I personally have been blessed by her daily